In our upcoming session, the most important learnings from a year of incorporating large language models into our business practices will be presented to you. Our next guest is a member of the Forbes Technology Council, for which he regularly writes through leadership articles. Furthermore, is he a data and analytic leader with extensive experience of delivering data-driven business value. So please welcome with me on stage Dr. Pawel Rzeszucinski. Welcome. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Natalie.
Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Can I get a clicker, please? Because I didn't get one. Oh, thank you very much. Cool. Great. I was just checking that this coming Saturday will be exactly 1 year since OpenAI released API access to their models. And myself and my team, we were totally eager to start working on these solutions, obviously, data and AI in an organization. And a month later, we had something on production that is running on production until today. So in this presentation, I'm going to walk you through our learnings from the last year. Apart from the first project, which will be a case study, we had a number of other things that helped us to go into the details of this marvel. But I'm going to start off with something else, a couple of minutes, just food for thought, because increasingly I keep hearing in the news and people asking me, artificial general intelligence, is it here yet? Artificial general intelligence, super intelligence, or superhuman intelligence. Just for starters, I'm giving you 4 movies: The Matrix, Ex Machina, Her, and Prometheus. Can you match the characters on the slide with a movie? So David, Prometheus, Samantha, anyone watched Her? Highly, Agent Smith, that's easy, Matrix. And the last one, Ex Machina, Ava. I highly recommend to watch these movies. My favorite is Her, but Ex Machina, Prometheus as well, The Matrix, you know very well. So these characters are representation of AGI in the culture, and they've been with us for decades by now. But if you ask experts, some of them tell you AGI is already here, and in the future we'll be looking at large language models in their current form as the first spark of true AGI. The others are saying we're centuries away or big decades away. I'm in the third bucket, and I think we'll never get there. But it's not because of technology, but because of our human nature. And this is why, just real quick. What is intelligence? Like, if I asked you for your definition of intelligence, everyone will give me something different. And there is a good reason for this. In this book, Frames of Mind, the author introduced 8 different types of intelligence that we have as humans: logical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, musical, and so on. So no wonder that the biggest players in the AI field, here as an example of DeepMind, getting together in November of last year to debate the definition of AGI, what it actually is. And because of this, artificial intelligence is what is called as a suitcase word. It's a word that we just keep throwing additional definitions inside. We just keep expanding the scope of this. So it's hard to define it if it's growing all the time, right? And the third one is, we as human species, we feel very special about our position on Earth. And we are super reluctant to acknowledge the existence of something that is maybe a little bit more powerful than us, intelligent. So in this example, when the scientists discovered that chimpanzees are using the long straws of grass to fish for termites, there were other scientists that started to debate, okay, well, is it really a tool? because I forgot to say, for a long time, we thought using tools was very specific to humankind and no other species could use tools. So in this case, they started to question it. It's just grass, right? Is it a tool? Is it really a tool? Maybe it's a tool, but it's not really complex. We are using complex tools, and so on and so on. So as I said, we'll never get there, and I'm not the first one to claim this. It is called the AI effect. And in frame of this, we have, for example, the Tesla theorem that says AI is whatever hasn't been done yet. Or Rodney Brooks, every time we figure out a piece of AI, it stops being magical. We say, oh, it's just computation. There's nothing magical about this. So, going back to my main topic, does it all matter for a business? Absolutely not. 1 year ago, we got very powerful tools that change the way we do business. Not everything applies. Again, AI is not a magic wand that can solve everything, but with the onset of LLMs, we got very powerful tools to solve problems that were super tricky in the past, things related to natural language processing. So as a case study, I'm going to use something that we developed within the first month of the API being released. This is an example of one of our websites, internet.bs, that's for Bahamas, where we changed the way people look for domain names. Right now, if you go on the website, you can say a shop with clothes for cats, or for dogs in this example. I'm looking for a shop. I don't have to come up with the name beforehand. I'm just talking with the model. And what you get in return are examples like barkeywardrobe.com, Perfect Wardrobe, Canine Chic Boutique, and so on. So this is my case study. And I love it for a number of reasons. It was the first one where we used LLMs on production. So there was an exciting moment for us. But also it really showed us what this technology is capable of. So in this table on the left-hand side, the realization of such a project would have taken us 4 data scientists working for between 9 to 12 months on the research, on the NLP side, then a data engineer and a full stack to put it on production, scale it, and make it reliable. But the biggest problem is that from the get-go, the risk of this initiative will be really high because we would have no way of determining whether it will be any good. It was just research in the NLP space. With the onset of the likes of ChatGPT, it took us a month from the research to productization. And we needed just one data scientist to design the A/B test and analyze the data. And the best thing was the outcome was known from the get-go because we could test it beforehand, before engaging in a proper project. So here are the learnings from the last year. The first one is hyper-acceleration of innovation potential. So the table that I just described is a great example. And I think in the cases where LLMs apply, we can no longer go the old ways of spending weeks debating which is the one project that we should take and go with it forward for the next month. Right now, we have the tools to be testing things simultaneously. And we have to be throwing stuff on the wall and just observing what sticks with the customer. The things that fall off, just forget about them. You spend like a week or 2 doing the proof of concept. But the ones that stick, you just take them, productize them, and move forward and look for new applications of LLMs. The second one is not every organization or most organizations are not ready for such a shift. And this was definitely the case with our case study. My team was too eager to be really fast with this. It took us a month. If we had followed the old ways of looking for tech assessment, agreeing with a large stakeholders group, getting acceptance for the project, it would just fall to the bottom of the backlog. We would have to wait for months for it to be developed. We were too impatient to do it. So what we did, we developed this, this case study, we developed it as a side project for a month. We just put it on production, informing the very critical stakeholders, no one else. And we were ready for some inconvenient discussions that followed. Because obviously not everyone was happy that we bypassed the existing processes back then. But the thing is, when you're in an organization with good culture, you can do what we did, is we took those difficult discussions to come up with processes that allow us to test these things right now, really fast, bypassing the, let's say, the major route for bigger projects, not LLM related. So if you're thinking about creating your first project, there will be some resistance. Remember that sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness rather than permission. But just sometimes, like, don't abuse it, but just keep it in your head. The third one is called weight calculation, and is a concept of trying to predict how the technology is going to evolve in the near future, or not so near future, and how it will impact the projects you're thinking about developing. So weight calculation was created as part of this thought experiment, where the authors were debating if we wanted to get to a Barnard star, which is a star 6 light years away from Earth, when is the best time to start the mission? Well, as soon as possible, right? That's the immediate answer. But what they did is they thought with the current technology, it would take us 12,000 years to get to Barnard star. If we wait a little bit longer and we develop fusion-powered rockets, which is likely to happen in the next century, maybe 2 centuries, it would only take 50 years to get to that star. So you don't want to be that old astronaut sitting in the rocket that took off from the Earth 11,950 years ago just to be taken over by someone who set off 50 years ago, living comfortably on Earth. So in context of LLMs, if you remember the first version of ChatGPT 3.5, it was just about text. So if someone thought, oh, this is perfect, I'm going to use it to produce custom training materials. But then for training materials, I need some visuals. So I'm going to have to connect to an external service. Then these images need to be somehow customized to fit my purpose. So I need a human in the loop. And the project grows and grows. A couple of months later, DALL-E was integrated into ChatGPT, and suddenly you can generate your images on the spot. So weight calculation, it's not easy to predict future, obviously, but just give it a think. Is it worth investing in a big project right now? Maybe the technology will solve it for us. And this is what Sam Altman is saying. If you're trying to build a product that benefits from shortcomings of GPT-4, just wait, because GPT-5 will solve all of them. Marketing talk, but maybe there is something into it. The fourth one is LLMs require LLM ops by now. We have to stop thinking about ChatGPT and the likes as fancy toys, because they already are proper tools. So what I like about LLMs is that they allow us to put things on production really fast, within days or weeks, let's say weeks. But it's a double-edged sword, because this is an incentive for companies to rush these solutions on production. And then we see things like this. A chatbot on Chrysler's website was proposing cars of other manufacturers to the clients. Or a DPD chatbot, when prompted properly, started to swear on the customers. That's just amazing. It gets even more interesting. The OWASP, which is the online community of cybersecurity professionals, very respected community, came up with their top 10 risks with regards to LLMs. And we start to see things like prompt injection. Everyone familiar with SQL injection? It's the same kind of thing, just for prompts. Or models denial of service. And there are 8 other risks. So it is getting serious. What do we mean by LLMs? LLM ops? It's analogous to DevOps. So apart from putting the model on production, we have to be thinking about stuff like security. we have to be thinking about data privacy and data management and monitoring of the solution and doing refinements. Human in the loop will always be something that we have to think about. And the last one is something that happened to me maybe 3 months ago, and I wasn't aware of this. I knew that the models can hallucinate. We heard about hallucinations. It's just making things up. But what I came across is a different version of it, which is called digression. So this is an example of hallucination. If you're familiar with the acronym HIPPO, highest paid person's opinion, I asked ChatGPT to give me other similar acronyms that are present out there. So the first one is just lazy. HIPPO with one P, really. The second one, veto. It actually exists, so that's a good suggestion. But the other ones, top cat, big food, top dog, it's just made up. It's just rubbish. So that's hallucination. Digression, on the other hand, is a sudden change of subject. It's still talking facts, but it out of nowhere changes the subject in its response. So I was talking to Copilot in this instance about human in the loop, human on the loop, and it was giving me some good output. In the first part, it talks about exactly what I asked it to talk about, and suddenly it changes and starts telling me the rise of nationalism in various regions within the empire, notably the Serb, Greeks, and Bulgarians seeking autonomy, significantly weakened the empire's control over its territories. By the way, the balance between leveraging the benefits of AI and ensuring alignment, and so on. So it was talking about AI, suddenly jumped into something completely different, and came back into AI out of nowhere. Again, human in the loop, we need to be looking at the outputs, at least in the very early stages of productizing these solutions. Because these tools are not deterministic. This is just probability, and stuff like hallucination, digression, comes from the very definition of how these autoregressive solutions work. So we have to deal with it, and we have to work with it until a new implementation of LLMs arise. So to conclude, think about changing your approach to planning of your projects and leverage the capability of LLMs to do stuff in parallel, because it's costing less and less to test in the places where LLMs apply. The second one, ask for forgiveness rather than permission, but don't abuse it. Think carefully when you want to do it, but sometimes it pays off. The weight calculations, so trying to predict the future of technology and taking this into account when doing your priorities in the projects you want to pursue. LLMs require LLM ops. So again, these are not fancy tools. These are not fancy toys. These are proper tools. And let's treat them with respect, because if not, it will fire back. And the last one, let's remember that models don't just hallucinate, they can also digress. That was the last slide, but I have like 2.5 minutes, so I'm happy to take question if anyone is up for something. Thank you very much.